Hello, I'm John Grom, and welcome to our 214th Right and Left Discussion Forum. We hold our televised discussions twice monthly to demonstrate the value of civil, productive, open-minded political dialogue. Today's topic will be discussed by our panel is legalized gambling in Ohio. What are the benefits and what are the shortcomings? Today's discussion begins with Patty Haskins, former member of the Wadsworth City Council and the faculty of Wadsworth High School. Dr. Ronald Chamberlin, retired senior research chemist. Tom Finley, hopefully, retired vice president of human resources development at Rubbermaid Incorporated. Before we start, is there a way that we can get rid of this window that says this meeting is being recorded by our host?
There's a little box that says "Got it." Click that down to the bottom right of the.
Okay, very good. I'm about as smart as Finley when it comes to Anyway, Patty, legalized gambling provides some financial benefits to our state, but it also has some negative impacts on the citizens. Do you think this is a fair trade-off?
Well, when we first talked about this, or we had the subject given to us, I wasn't really familiar with the bill that went through the state. And my first question was, why are they doing this? I mean, what is the benefit of having this other than it makes gambling more accessible in more ways for more people, so that you don't have to go to a casino and play the slots if you wish to gamble. You now can go to your local restaurant, local bar. You can even do it online, and you can bet on many different things, not just the scores of games, but you can bet on what quarter, how many points are going to be scored, all kinds of different things. So I guess for the gambling enthusiast who considers this a pastime, that is a plus. The other plus, supposedly, is the fact that it's going to bring in a great deal of revenue for the state. My only concern with that is that I read recently that primarily the money is going to be used for education. And unfortunately, that takes me back to, I think this was the early 70s, where it was decided that we would have a state lottery. And the lottery had to be voted in, and it was pushed by the state under the guise that the money would be used for education. And I still remember the campaign was SOS, Save Our Schools, so that all of the proceeds from the lottery would go directly towards education. And that's what's being said now. The problem back then is what was done in the state budget was that the money sources that usually provided for education were diverted elsewhere, and the lottery money went into education. So what ended up happening is no extra money came for education. It was just enabled them to take money within the state budget and use it on other pet projects, other places, without hurting education. So, I'm concerned now when they say that, I guess it's deja vu here, when they say that the money is going to be used for education, that it will not be, and will be used for some other pet project somewhere else along the line. Another concern I have, and I just read this in the Beacon yesterday or the day before, that one of the rules about this gambling is that the companies that are doing this, and mainly it's like there's a few, I think one's DraftKings, and I forget what some of the other names are, but they can do is they have big advertising campaigns for people to come in and use this type of online betting, and thereby they make money. Well, one of the things they cannot do is to advertise to anyone under 21. So if they do put out an ad campaign, it cannot be geared to those that technically it would be illegal for them to gamble under this particular provision. Well, they've already cited, the state has cited that there are two companies, the main two, that they feel have already, before this has even gone into effect, have already violated that provision and are in their ad campaigns are targeting younger than 21-year-olds who might be more willing to be reckless as far as their gambling is concerned, particularly online. And this could end up creating a big problem. Now, within the bill itself, it states that these purveyors of these ads could be fined, and it's like 350,000 or 250,000. That may be a drop in the bucket for them. I'm not sure that that's going to deter them from continuing with these ads. I guess, when I look at it overall, I'm not sure, as I started by saying, I'm not sure why this was in place, other than somebody had a good lobbying unit with the state, because the only people that are going to be rich from gambling are the people that are
own the franchise.
Yeah, they're running the gambling. I mean, the house always wins is, I think, the general rule. There has also been concern by those that are saying that there is a concern for the uptick in gambling that will affect those that have an addiction to gambling. And there is a big concern about that. We already have, quite a few people that are addicted to gambling, and this never ends good. And to provide or make it easier for gambling addicts to gamble and influence their lives, I'm not sure that this is a win-win situation for the citizens of Ohio.
Yeah, there are 77,000 Ohioans that are now in treatment for gambling addiction.
Right. And to make this available for them. I mean, they don't even have to get up and go to the casino. They can do it locally. They can do it online. So it makes it easier for those addicts to continue gambling. And I'm very concerned about the effect that this could have on their health and their overall being for them and their families. So why we're doing this, I'm not sure.
Okay, Ron, what's your take?
It's a very good point. The addiction thing is very interesting. In general, I think this is one of those situations where individuals have to take personal responsibility. And is it the state's role? I'm not talking like a liberal here at this point, but is it the state's role to take care of the citizens in that way? I don't know. I have a personal experience here he's kind of a distant relative. He's a second husband of an aunt who was an aunt through marriage. But this fellow, when he joined the family some years back now, he said, "Well, I used to be a truck driver, and I would stop at casinos in New York State or wherever and spend the paycheck." He says, "I'm addicted, and I voluntarily had myself blacklisted from these casinos, so that as I come in and they just they can refuse to serve me." I'm hearing background. Maybe it's my phone. I'm just hearing some chatter in the background here. So that's possible to do for a person who's responsible, which he was a responsible individual and realized he had a problem. Hopefully he's not involved with this. Now he's living in Alaska, and I've lost touch with him. So I think that's a problem. And financially, it's certainly a good deal for the state, at least for the house. As Patty says, the house always wins. And ever since I started being aware of statistics and probability back in late high school, early college days, why should I buy lottery tickets? Just let other people support my taxes for education. But Patty and I got observation there that this money that the lottery was supposed to make for education, and mostly the education, but it didn't help education very much. And I think that's something that politicians tend to do. Here's money. Let's let's take this other money now that's available and use it for something else, use it for our own pork barrel. So I have mixed feelings about it. I don't personally get involved with it. I've been to Las Vegas once. I spent $10. My wife and I spent $20 and made a total of 17. We had enough for a taxi ride back to the hotel. So,
and that's as far ahead as you're ever going to be.
There you go. That's as good as ever going to be. I once gave a guy $1 for his pet project for a raffle, and I won $100 worth of lottery tickets in Connecticut, and I think it made about $6 off of that. So, so I'm ahead, you know.
But one of the things that we haven't mentioned yet is that poor people tend to be the chief audience for the lottery.
Exactly right.
And I'm thinking that, you know, if you're poor and desperate, and you see the advertising on television for how you can make millions on the lottery, and how some people do, it can be hard to resist. I think, but
I've known two people that did very well. I was a technician, young man who was just college. He was in college. He took me a ride to work, picked me up one day at the gas station where I left my car. Was taking me to work. He said, "I just won the Ohio lottery or the Connecticut lottery. I made $1 million." So he quit his job and quit college, bought his mother a car, and so on and so forth. I don't know whatever happened to him, but that's not a lot of money in these days. And I know another person who she won a couple $100,000. You know, that's about it. She was a member of a chorus that we was in, and she donated some money to the chorus. Oh, it just hit it big on the New York lottery. So, but it's rare. It's very rare. And I see you're right. I see folks, you know, say at buying lottery tickets and kind of poorly dressed. You know, maybe not. I don't know why they're feeding a lot of money into that machine and pulling out these tickets. It just boggles my mind. I don't understand the attraction personally.
Well, at the supermarket that where I shop, I was standing in a line behind a guy at the customer service counter the other day, and he did not look well off. In fact, I felt like giving him some money. But he was buying lottery tickets, and he shelled out over $80.
Yeah.
For the lottery tickets, and I thought, oh, that poor guy. I mean, for a while he's going to be kind of excited because of the prospects of getting rich, but then what's the rest of the day going to be like for the poor guy?
Yeah. My son, who works at GetGo, tells about people coming in and spending half an hour, you know, getting sure they exactly the right group of numbers on there. And, you know, people do that. And I don't know why. I don't feel the urge myself. So
I think with those, you know, with John, you mentioned the word desperate, you know, and there are people that are desperate. But many of the people that are shelling out that kind of money really are addicted to it. I don't think, though, that, you know, like the lottery sales, I don't think people spend that much money on it. As you will see with gambling and betting, where they're going to be going in and dropping thousands of dollars at a time. And, you know, that's a little scary when I see that. I mean, we have enough vices as it is. And it's not that I'm against gambling. I mean, I'm the first to buy raffle tickets when the church sells them or anything like that. I look at that as entertainment, as a donation to the organization, and just, you know, not money that I don't expect to win when I do that. But when you look at gambling addicts, and it is very addictive when you're doing, you know, when you're gambling like that, that's a little scary. I went on a gambling trip, and this was, at least 10, 15 years ago, up to New York. One of the worst bus trips I ever took in my life. This is so boring. And I got there, and I played the slot machines a little bit and went and got something to eat. And I'm not a gambler, so it wasn't like I was having fun. And then I noticed down by the entrance, and we'd only been there a few hours, all of the seats that were there were taken up. There were no slot machines or anything there. And these were all people, and I could tell what was going on. They had come in on buses. They had lost everything they had. They were tapped out, and now they were just sitting there waiting for the bus to come pick them up in a few hours to take them home.
Yeah.
And that was the saddest thing I ever saw in my life. And
we used to go out to Las Vegas to play golf. And you can get pretty cheap hotel rates because they expect you to gamble. If you don't gamble, it's a great place to go to play golf.
yeah.
There was a time I decided to go ahead and play the 25-cent slot machine just for the heck of it. And they give you like a little styrofoam cup to put your quarters in. So I had my quarters and kept putting them in, and every now and then I'd win and get some more quarters. And I kept thinking, God, is this ever going to stop? I can't, I don't want to win anymore. I'm just going to sit here till my quarters are gone. Excuse me. Well, they weren't gone for a long time, and I had these quarters in this styrofoam cup. And Brenda came downstairs, and my sister and her husband, the group we were with, and we went outside on the sidewalk outside the casino, and I'm standing there with this cup, and I'm sort of shaking the cup, and some guy walks by and drops a quarter in my cup. And that was worth, the laugh was worth it all. But in Ohio, even before Monday, when the online sports betting came on board, in Ohio, it was legal to play bingo, poker, horse betting, casino gambling, of course, the lottery. And now sports betting is both online and in brick and mortar places. There's almost nowhere that a gambling addict can't feed his problem. I know that Patty, you mentioned earlier on, you didn't understand where all this got started. Well, I think the people that own the gambling franchises promoted it by saying, listen, all you Ohioans are gambling anyway. You're going over to Indiana and other places and doing all that. Why don't you go ahead and gamble in a way that your state benefits, like education or whatever? Yeah. And I think that was the big reason for it. But when I stop and think about, when I say poor people, I'm including addicts, but people who are very, very low income that are attracted to gambling. It's just awfully hard for me to justify any level of state revenue that takes advantage of those people. I think about the state of Ohio is the big winner when it comes to alcohol and tobacco already. And now we've got gambling. You have to ask yourself, what is the moral derivative here for our state of Ohio?
Yeah, why do we have to make it easier?
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned, I know people, I have friends that really love gambling. I don't particularly, but they love to go to the the gambling casinos, and they'll spend hours there, and they'd go every weekend if they could. And it's not because they're addicted to gambling. That's their form of entertainment. And if you can afford, I guess, to lose that money, then up to you, far be it for me to say you can't give away your money like that to the casino. But, when we're making it so simple for people and targeting, and I do believe targeting, John, you mentioned bingo, where my son went to high school, they had a bingo, I think it was every week. And because the parents had to go in and we were required to go in and work at bingo nights. And it was amazing how much money that they made off of their bingo games that they ran. And the thing that struck me is most of the people that were playing bingo like you said, John, did not appear to be wealthy. And they would not only play bingo, but we also sold instant cards. And it was not uncommon for people to just come up and buy $100 worth of instant cards and do it 2 or 3 times in an evening. And some of these people didn't look like they had 2 nickels to rub together. Far be it to me to judge a book by its cover, but I thought, gee, many Christmas. And I think the biggest thing was they didn't look happy. It wasn't like they were enjoying what they were doing. It was almost this frantic, I've got to buy another card because maybe on this one I'll win. And that's really scary when you see that.
Yeah, I remember the first time we flew out to Las Vegas, a flight attendant was telling me she loved this flight to Las Vegas because everybody was upbeat. But the ones from Las Vegas back to Cleveland, they called it the remorse flight.
Yes, I've heard that.
Is that right?
Oh. Yeah.
I don't know what our timing situation here is. We got Beth Lucas name popped up. I don't know if they started the timer before I did or not, but I still got 6 minutes to go. Unless they shut us off, we'll just keep on going with this.
One thing I found on that, I've been to Las Vegas once in my life, and it was 40 years ago. The thing that amazed me is on the flight out, the airline gave us playing cards, a deck of cards on the way out to start gambling in the plane, I guess. And then you got off at the airport and there were slot machines right there as you walked into the airport. Yeah. And I thought, they're pushing the
at your gate.
Yeah, and to show how much money they make off of it. I mean, when you're gambling, they give you free drinks. People come around and hand you drinks and you don't pay for them because they make their money on
your gambling.
Yeah.
I remember a very sad scene one time. I got up at the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had an early tea time and walked, down. And we were at the what was the very first casino in Las Vegas.
The Sands, was that it?
No, the Flamingo. We were at the Flamingo. And walking down, downstairs and into the area where the slot machines were, and you see these tired old ladies there just sitting there feeding the slot machines, and they've been doing it all night long with a drink in one hand and the quarters in the other, and it was one of the saddest things I ever saw. Yeah. But this poor lady just cannot help herself. She just kept on going. But
like I said, for some people, that's their entertainment. And, there are things I'm sure that
it didn't look like very much fun to me.
Yeah, but, hopefully some people do. But, of course, those are probably the responsible gamblers. And, I mean, if in some, and I really don't think this is going to happen, but if this were to benefit the state in some way, they have also said that, I found this interesting, some of the money from the proceeds is supposed to go to like Gamblers Anonymous and to help prevent addiction. So you're providing more of a vice so that you can get money to get people away from that vice. It sounded a little bit.
I'm not impressed.
So if they put money into the health of people and making it a safe, but I just don't see that happening. And the only people getting rich are the ones that own the casinos and those that are doing the companies that are running the online betting. Another thing that could happen too is, especially whenever you get into all the online betting on sports, there's also the possibility of corruption amongst the sports teams.
Absolutely. Which reminds me, in doing research for this program, I ran into the name of Art Schleister. Does that mean anything to either one of you? He was a quarterback for Ohio State, probably the most successful quarterback Ohio State ever had. In fact, he was so powerful in high school. Woody Hayes told him he wanted to draft him, and he would guarantee Woody Hayes, the 4 yards in a cloud of dust coach. He promised him at least 30 passes a game. He wanted him that badly, and I think speaking of 30, out of 30 games, he had 29 wins and a tie. Schleicher did when he was in college. He signed a bonus at the time was huge, the $385,000 bonus to sign with the Colts. And it was all gambled away before the first game of the season. And he just had this terrible, terrible problem of gambling. He could not stop. He broke the law. He spent tons of time in jail over the years. He did manage to put 4 years of service into professional football, but he just kept getting dropped because he couldn't stop the gambling. And it was so compelling. And he was such a star. He was tremendous. But in any event, I think that we've probably exhausted this topic. But I'm thinking, I had an idea to suggest to y'all for the next topic, but I'm an old man and I forgot it already. So anyway, great. See you in a couple of weeks.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.